Dun. Jesse Pringle, thank you. I appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
You're probably not excited to be here right now, though, with the cold.
I don't know why you would say that. It is, like 15 out? 10?
Actually, today it's beautiful. It's a nice 32.
It's a sunny, partially cloudy 32.
Yeah.
With a wind chill of negative 13.
Yeah. Hey, next week, though, 54? 54 next week.
That's a week I'm not going to be here. I'm going back to Tennessee.
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 Are you living partially in Tennessee?
I am. There was some opportunity down there I couldn't turn down, and it gets me closer to beaches and palm trees, and I love the ocean. And so Florida's not too far away, and so it's that much closer.
Do you have a spot in Los Angeles?
I do not have a spot in Los Angeles. I've got a bunch of numbers I could call if I absolutely need a place to stay. But I like to go to Los Angeles so I've got something going on that pays for my lodging. But I love Los Angeles.
You commute back and forth, though, a lot from there. At least you did last year, I thought.
I used to commute more than I do now, and now it's less a specific place and more where something's happening. There's an opportunity.
Where at in Tennessee are you at?
Chattanooga.
Nice.
Right on the Tennessee River. Very bottom, I believe, of some of the Appalachian Mountains. So it's very much a river town and a hiker's town, and it's got a lot of beards. There's a lot of beards in Chattanooga.
You do you do any hunting?
As a kid, I did more than I do now. Thankfully, I grew up, one of my grandfathers still had a farm in the country and a whole bunch of acreage, so I grew up shooting shotguns and rifles. Yeah, I love being able to have guns when I need them, if I need them, and also, I'm glad that I grew up with a generation at a time where we could hunt for food on our own property without a license.
You had an opportunity to hunt in Tennessee?
Not yet.
But soon, maybe?
Not yet. I see plenty of deer, but I've never been a deer meat guy. Honestly, for someone that admittedly hasn't eaten any pork that I've known for the last several years, unless it's bacon, then that just doesn't count. But I'd like to go on like a boar hunt.
Yeah.
Because they're like wild and feral and overpopulated some states. Invasive. A word I never use, but sounds really important when it comes to too many aggressive boars.
Well, I know Texas is big on doing the hunts from the sky.
Right, they do helicopter hunts, and and I've talked to many sides, and early on when I first learned about boar hunting, it was because I was around and a bunch of guys that had a bunch of bulldogs, and they actually still hunted boar with bulldogs who had leather chest plates so they wouldn't get tusked, and they'd send dogs or a dog out for a boar to hold it down and kill it, or at least hold it down enough to finish it off. But having been to a lot of wild boar pig roasts, been to some pig roasts from some farms back when I was younger and things like that, but I would actually be excited about go hunting a boar or maybe some big game.
Oh, yeah. I think big game's like everybody's dream.
Sure.
Yeah. But, man, so we had a guy in here who runs a foundation who does guided hunts for people with, like, PTSD, and then he raises the money so we can take them. It's expensive.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's think about an option to have. We can go to the grocery store currently and buy bison.
Some places.
At the grocery store.
Yeah.
Ground bison. It comes from a bison. Well, if I know that bison's life is going to end, I'd like to be the hand that ends it. And then let me feed my family with that bison. Rather than see it lined up and stacked to a corral and then shot in the head with a pressure gun or whatever they do. Like, haven't been there or anything since I was a kid, but I've seen the process, and I'd rather be involved in that process when it comes time to providing food for my family. Call me weird, but
I don't think that's weird at all. What's weird to me is that there's still people who think that hunting's inhumane. And I don't know if they don't have a cell phone and have ever Googled factory farming. But that's what's weird to me.
Factory farming is a problem. I think same set of grandparents. We shuck corn. We snap green beans. You know what I mean? Like, those are the type of people, half of the side of the family that raised me when I was a young kid. You know what I mean? During the summers, I was at the farm. If I was in the city, it wasn't for very long because we were causing hell. So send them to the farm. Like,
where'd you grow up?
Lee Summit.
And where was your guys' farm at?
Garden City, Missouri.
Nice.
Yeah.
Close enough to a Walmart, far enough away that you had some land.
There was no Walmart back then.
Yeah.
Back then, it was, if you wanted to go to a bigger grocery store, it wasn't the market. And they had most of the stuff, little market, but little supermarket. But if it wasn't that and you weren't getting your own, you didn't have your own cattle and killing your own beef and et cetera, making brain cheese and tongue sandwiches and gigging frogs at the pond for frog legs and all that stuff. If you needed to go to the big store and stock up, they built an Aldi, which was like 45 miles away. So,
do you ever shop at Aldi now?
I've been there.
It's awesome what they've become.
It's awesome. I check the vegetables out every time I'm there. I smell them. I give them the smell check. Some places you can smell the chemicals on there. Like,
yeah, they've got like a whole health food section now, and they're really doing a lot, which is nice. Still really affordable.
They're still affordable. Like, they're still beating most people.
Yeah.
Like, even Walmart. Walmart's prices have gone down, but now they just recently went up. But sometimes there's some things that you just got to go there and get because you can get more of it for less. I'm down to eating, honestly, most days I'm down to eating one meal a day. So I proactively practice, but just mandatorily do intermittent fasting. So unless there's a specific cause or need to put on some weight or something like that, I'm going to do just enough, but healthy.
Yeah. Do you do that for health reasons or just for schedule?
Both. The schedule of it makes the health reasons just kind of naturally happen. I can't quote, but can definitely say that I've certainly watched and listened to many experts claim that the body heals itself in a fasting state. Period. That's all the facts I need to know. And honestly, I've been the healthiest I've ever been, and I've always stayed pretty healthy. The healthiest I've ever been going off of less food. Period. But I'm not trying to win any powerlifting contests either. You know what I mean? So, got to feed muscle.
Yeah. There's a time and a place, but that's one thing that when I'm really strict on my fasting, it's, dude, your energy levels, for one, are crazy. Once you get over that, first week hump where you don't crave, in the mornings.
Sure.
You can start eating at noon, cut your last meal off by 8. Oh, you feel so much better, way more energy.
I do drink caffeine, so I'll drink coffee in the morning or a pre-workout in the morning or something like that. I usually won't drink any caffeine after a specific time of day, afternoon-ish, you know what I mean? But lots of water, alkaline or spring water if I have a choice. You know what I mean? Growing up on water hose water, alkaline water tastes pretty good.
Yeah, that hose water used to taste good too.
You know what I
though,
mean? Well, you know,
in the summer.
it tastes great. You kidding me? Like, couldn't go in the house. You can do anything. Stay outside. You don't have a cell phone. You have a pager. You don't have a way to get anybody knows how to get a hold of you. Just be here when the street lights come on.
Yeah.
Type of thing. So, or if not, your parents or the neighbors be yelling for you, so you'd hear it. And I liked growing up like that. That was a cool experience, you know. But we fought all the time, every week.
Yeah.
Family versus family.
I had an older brother, so I got the shit beat out of me every day.
Well, that too. Like,
yeah.
I learned how to get beat up real fast, and I learned how to run real fast to not get beat up anymore. Like, you know what I mean? So I end up naturally wanting and getting into combat sports and running track. Ran track all through high school. Wish I would have done it in college.
Yeah, but you played football in college.
I did, but I should have picked a college I could run track in, because when it was off season, that was beer and girls.
Yeah.
And that ruined everything.
Man, those times are good too.
Not saying they weren't, but I'm one of those personalities that has to stay on a task. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, dude, I think I'm the same way. If I fall off the wagon, I'm off the wagon. I either have to do everything correctly or I'm doing everything wrong. I'm not good at balancing.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on. Whether it be just, and I'll say this as less threatening as I can, you've got to make some man decisions about man issues a lot, all the time, every day, every second. And there are things that come with that, you know what I mean? And being able to make hard decisions, being able to hold yourself accountable, being able to know when to say no or stop, when, knowing what's good for you, what's bad for you, ultimately. These are the challenges that will never end our entire lives, period. So why not be an expert at that?
Yeah. Well, now more than ever, too, I feel like, oh, God. It's hard to attract what I think you deserve, even in, like, the romantic aspect, because
Sure.
all the information is there. Like, why do they want a guy that doesn't read up on why it's not okay to eat McDonald's every day?
Let's talk about that, Noah.
Please, let's dive real deep in.
That seems like a real personal subject. Here's the thing. Coming from a man of many monotonous yet unsuccessful relationships, you've got to find your happy to then be aligned with somebody that can be happy with you. The alternative is always going to be something. Period. So I'd say nowadays the courting period with someone is a really important period. As traditional as that may seem. If you don't know somebody well enough on all layers and then get into a live-in relationship situation, love is, we're going to love different people for different things our entire life. Love is inevitable. I've got it tattooed. Love. That's going to happen, and that's part of the learning experience of not only knowing who's best for you, but knowing yourself better to then look for the person that's going to add value to your life. You know, it's not something that's figured out right away, I don't think. I've done it over and over again. I just released a song about it called Mercy. It's a It's a love story, but it's very toxic.
Yeah. Yeah, man, you speak to intrinsically, you got to know what's valuable to you, because I've definitely realized you got to pick out the warning signs quick. Just because somebody does nine of the 10 things correctly, but that last one might be a deal breaker. And it's speaking to like a certain person's discipline too. I think that translates a lot. If somebody's not disciplined enough to do the basic things, you would be, I guess, crazy for thinking that they're going to do down the road a satisfactory job with whatever it is. You know, if they're not willing to if you think it's important to go to the gym or to stay away from soda, you know, the basics, and then down the road you're like, I wonder why this person couldn't finish their degree.
Okay, stop right there. So then I was just having a conversation with my son, who's grown, about coming to a point in your life where you started to analyze and build analytics for the issue, situation, problem at hand. If you could tell me that problem you have, could you then tell me each stepping plate? Was there a step one? What was one? Or A, right? What was step one? How did you meet? Where did you meet? What were the circumstances? Whatever. Then, after step one, what was step two? What decision could you have made at step two that would have been different, that made the outcome different? Like, did you see signs of this other person being, let's just say, disorganized or living an unhealthy lifestyle? You know what I mean? But they had these other great areas. But because you looked and focused on those other great areas, you neglected to see the most visible, problem areas. You're like, oh, wait, she's great. And she's great in bed. And we just fucking connect. Sorry. We just connect. But, damn, she's bad with money. Damn, she likes eating ice cream and potato chips in bed at 3 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? Like, damn, she likes cats.
The foundation, dude. The foundation. Yeah.
Because those are the non-negotiables.
Yeah.
But where does that start? Okay, so it goes back to that. Step one. Those are things that you know out of the gate. You're tripping, bro. You seen it from the very first.
Yeah, but then what about blinders?
As I said, everybody's going to have their value. But does it serve you and your end happiness? Or, you know what I mean? Your end evaluation. This is your life. Like, was that the greatest decision or a good decision or the right decision, or was it a bad decision and a mistake and a lesson? What'd you learn from it? Did you make the same decision again? It's okay to make these decisions. You're making a lot of bad decisions your entire life. But don't do them more than once. Ultimately, it's okay. Now you know what not to look for. Now you know the signs. Here's the other thing, though. Don't ever give up on humanity until it gives up on itself. If you're in that situation, have a conversation about it. Be the bigger person. Hey, I noticed that you like to eat Doritos at 3 o'clock in the morning and drink milkshakes from Wendy's. You don't like going to the gym. You think the gym sucks. You know what I mean? Like, you do know that's important to me, right? And because you know it's important to me, is it also important to you? Do you think that's a lifestyle that you could live? Or is that something that's just non-negotiable?
Decisions that come with
Right.
experience.
I mean, what does it show though? That's a first sign of quitting. People that cannot make a commitment, any commitment.
Yeah, so I was just speaking to, it's like you should have almost fucking seen the path. I mean, it's right there in front of you, but you know, like you said, sometimes it takes a little bit of identification and practice identifying those, what you were A, B, C, 1, 2, 3.
Sure.
You know, if you look back on it, armchair quarterback, you probably could have seen exactly where those relationships were headed.
Could have. It's okay to make the wrong decisions, though. I said that as well.
Yeah.
As long as you don't make them more than once. You know what I mean? Don't keep making that same decision out the gate just because they're good in the bedroom or whatever. You got to figure out your own love language, bro. For real. Then you'll know what to want to expect from somebody else. All right, my life's going to be better if I can find somebody that feels the same way about this.
Yeah. For someone like you that's so busy and you do so many different things, that has to be tough because you ultimately are speaking to living very intentionally. And that comes with what sacrifices and compromises are you even willing to make? You know, not you personally, but like proverbially. It's got to be tough, man, being in the entertainment industry. You know, I'm not even speaking to like being in situations where you have the ability to do, you know, oh, I don't want a girlfriend right now because I'm going to be at this party with, you know, 30 broads or whatever.
Sure.
But like even just, hey, I'm traveling and I don't need somebody interrupting my intentionality of what I want to do, and I have to make it out of town this weekend on the fly. I have an opportunity, and yes, I could talk to you about it, but ultimately I'm going.
Period. That's why there's a lot of single people. And if dudes realize this is what they want and this is not going to get in their way, and they have to have those transparent relationships, you know what I mean, or conversations rather. What's the ratio of women that are going to be down for that lifestyle?
Can't be many.
You know?
Yeah.
Here's the thing about it even further. The ones that are, do they really know what they're getting themselves into? They don't. Are they really down-ass females? They could be. You're never going to know the outcome of any relationship or conversation with anybody in the world unless you have the conversation. You know what I mean? So you're winning either way it goes. Just because you got in there and start swinging, you're winning, bro.
Yeah, I guess all you can do is have a dialogue, but also, fuck, dude, people lie all the time. And then, you know, truly the actions, I mean, people say it all the time, actions speak louder than words, but it's the truth. You know, sometimes I've had great conversations and then things never change.
Sure.
So that's when you got to go back and identify, is there anything that shows me this is going to change?
Right, and those are those tough decisions, those hard conversations, you know. And it's not easy even being strong enough to bring those conversations up. Let's talk about this. It's been bothering me a lot lately. I just want to have a conversation with you. This is how I feel. Tell me how you feel.
All right.
You know what I mean? Like, what's the purpose of not? Then you're always just kind of sitting around with a chip on your fucking shoulder. No thanks. I choose freedom. Like, as I said, you can't really call it cereal, but, you know, I've been in several, or a few rather, long-term relationships, and you're going to learn something new about your partner every day, forever. And it's just not as simple as guys or dudes want to accept the fact that it's less about her wanting the things that you want and more you understand just how she is. And can you live with that? Because, bro, that's what it is.
Yeah.
You cannot change anybody, period. That is what I learned over several relationships.
I don't tend to subscribe to the whole there's one person for each person. And so that's another difficult thing, too, is like you can develop, in my personal opinion, you can develop like a very significant emotional attraction to somebody. And now you're stuck in knowing that it's not the right situation, knowing that it's not the right journey, and that your guys' paths don't mesh.
Sure.
But now you have developed a very real thing, which is an emotional connection to somebody, and you have to disrupt your patterns. That shit's tough.
The twin soul.
I've never heard that term. I like that. The twin soul.
The twin soul. And you are both suffering from suffering. And the only way to relieve suffering is to convince yourself of better. Power of thinking. I'm a creative, so it's all about imagination. I've had some instances where there were some 3-letter agencies that knew who I was because I was writing an organized crime fiction series in a town known for... So, I mean, you've just got to be comfortable being uncomfortable and learn how to manage that. And that speaks on, I can't say who said it because I heard it, but the first thing you have to defeat is ego. I didn't learn that till later than I should have, or would have wanted to, rather, you know. But if you could swallow or kill your own ego first and be like, all right. I'm never going to change this, but I can change that. And with that, then what do I look for?
What about, how do you feel about ego strength then? I think you kind of just hit on it, where you part of having ego strength would be to identify, I am not going to change this.
Define ego strength.
Well, I guess a lot of times people's ego is what can traject them in the right path. Maybe they wouldn't have done something that they wouldn't have done previously without a strong ego.
Could that be defined as ego, or is that simply confident?
I think those words could be interchangeable.
Or dedicated, or, prepared. Because with preparedness comes feeling prepared, yes? And if you feel prepared, you're going to have a confidence. And if you have a confidence, you're going to have an ego. I am ready for this. What you got? You know what I mean? And if you get chinks in your ego, that's fine. To the victor go the spoils. But, it's like you have to be aware of who you are. Period. Emotionally, physically, mentally, psychologically, financially, medically. You have to know where you're at, where you are, what you can overcome, what you can, punishment, it's not always physical. Punishment. How much punishment can you handle and still want to go green light? Shout out Matthew McConaughey for that one, green light. To want to go green light, let's go. There's only one way to get better. To go in that direction. This other direction is created a really good songwriter. Ego. I wrote really good songs about relationships and sometimes about life and sometimes about my life. And I was having a conversation with a panel the other night from the local radio station, KPRS. And they were asking about what I thought about writing my own songs and things like that. And I said, I'm not against writing teams or a collection of writers writing for the focus and outcome of making a hit song, hit record. But to me, not only just for being independent and having to do it by default, how would my songs be my songs if they weren't me writing the song? So creatively, I'm like, yo, listen, to me, I want you to hear what I write, who I am, the ideas I come up with, for you to be able to relate with that person. Then that makes me feel like we can really relate. You know what I mean? So it's like, if it's not coming from me, to me it's disingenuous. I'm not against writing groups. I'm just saying. Like, and I brought up the subject of a famous rapper. I said, what if this famous rapper never wrote any of his raps? Would you still believe he was who they sold you he was? And so, and that's just an example. But that's just because I chose not to ever sing cover songs or someone else's music. I've done a couple songs over the years, whatever. They're really classic songs. But in general, the only way you're going to know about me or learn about me and learn about my story and know about the mistakes I've made, up here being vulnerable, writing about it, singing about it, performing it, is if I write it. That's, to me, that's courageous as fuck. And that's a very hard place to be in, because it's also vulnerable. And that can be scary. As a real dude. Because real dudes are really being, I don't know if you call it micromanaged. Not micromanaged, but...
Well, look at where you're from. I mean, I know you're Chattanooga, but one of the biggest... yeah, hey, can I get a sparkling too? Thanks.
Thank you, man.
There's like a lot of people that are okay and comfortable operating in the space, especially in Nashville, just being writers.
Sure.
But they might, to them, when they see a superstar, let's just, say it's Luke Combs or Zach Bryan or somebody, give an energy that they know, again, speaking back to ego, that they would probably never be able to get
Thank you.
out of the song they wrote themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they put the story and the words behind it, but they had a tool in their basket, was to hand that over to someone who could really put the story into frame. So I'm not saying your criticisms are harsh or anything like that, but it's just another perspective. So many beautiful songs were written by other people.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
And we might have never heard them.
I will sing.
Did you get that sparkling? Sorry. Thank you. Sorry, dude.
I will sing any Willie Nelson song that Willie writes for me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, come on. Like, I'm not going to be like that. However, here's the thing.
Thank you.
In my opinion, if you're going to hire professional writers to write for the artist that you have confidence is going to do this as a profession, then how about the writers knowing who this artist is as a person first, to maybe psychologically know what this person is going through enough to write for this person. Then I can see it. Then I can see co-writers being very valuable, if they know an artist as a person. then they can kind of make those decisions. But unfortunately, I've been in a situation as a filmmaker and a writer and a producer where I've had a co-writer come in, or I hire a co-writer to come in, and this is what the story is. This is what the characters are. This is what dialogue is. Take these storylines, put it together, send it back to me. And the verbiage would just be way off. For instance, for example, they just wouldn't know how to talk like I would talk, or talk like I would think that these guys would talk. So they may say some words, but it's just way off. And for me, that's the fear in having other songwriters, because if they don't speak like me, how can I say I'm going to have a successful song if singing a song that saying words that they say but I would never fucking say? So it's just a give and a take. I guess, I'm not against it completely. However, I believe that fans aren't going to know me as a creative and as an artist, as well as hearing songs that I particularly wrote about my life or my experiences.
Do you feel drastically different when it comes to acting then? Do you try to get involved and write pieces or add adjuncts of yourself into like what they supply for you to say in a scene?
That's a really cool question. Because I had to write for myself when I created the idea Kill 'Em All Kansas City, which was vengeful son of a slain Irish mobster climbs the ladder of organized crime success while stacking mafia bodies. And I had to write this character, Carson McCullough. And this is what, before Peaky Blinders, but later on, same time as like Black Donnelly's, or it's a classic tale, it's folklore tale about what if organized crime in Kansas City still existed with the Sicilian Mafia and the Irish Mafia, and then the black gangs. What if that still existed? What would that fictional story be? Inspired by real life, what would that fictional story be? And it created such a buzz that, it got questioned. Is this a real story? So I was really happy with the success of just planting that seed alone. You know what I mean? And I hooked up with a great cinematographer and director at the time, Sean Wright, locally. And he also went to Lee Summit. And just released a skateboard park documentary, like recently. But him and I had hooked up, and he wanted to do more directing gigs because he was a professional cinematographer in the industrial range industry in Kansas City, actively, like with a film degree, all that stuff. Like, I needed more acting reel, more acting opportunities, because I needed to consistently build my reel to pitch to casting directors in LA when I was living in Los Angeles. So because of the years of independent music, of knowing that if I really wanted to get something done, I had to do it myself. Period. If I didn't know how to do it, I had to fucking learn how to do it. Period. That's it. Like, hustle and flow. Like, make a mistake, learn from it, make a new decision. Like, you have to do that. This is the inevitable. We're getting this done. We have to get this done. Like, there's still stuff that's unreleased of many productions. And it's crazy because I've even got music that's unreleased that I recorded years ago. But it just wasn't, all the gears weren't going at the same time. So I got super self-critical about it. Can't release it yet. It's not ready. Don't have this in place. 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 Can't release it yet. Shoulda, for sure. Like, first song I ever had on the radio was in 2007. I wrote it in 2002.
Whoa.
Re-recorded it in 2005. Yeah. And then got it on the radio in a distant land before I got it on the hometown radio.
What a creation. Back to the music, because I wanted to ask, is that still an active conversation? The stigma if you don't write your own stuff? Back in the day, like, I can remember, I've played a lot of instruments, and I was in like a metal band, but that was a big stigma then. If you did covers or if you didn't do anything original, is that you made it sound like maybe that is still a big stigma, or is it just kind of an asterisk for you?
For me, it was just a personal decision, because I was already I'm a 6'4", over 200 pound, former fighting professional athlete, singing soul music, white dude, tattooed, usually taking my shirt off sometime in the set. Not because I got muscles, but just because I don't give a fuck. Like, and this is how much I need you to understand how much I don't give a fuck. I'm up here doing my thing. You know what I mean? And I was able to embrace that. You know, for me, it's an adrenaline dump, because I'm not only doing something because mentally I feel like I'm prepared, but doing something because objectively I know I'm overcoming a huge, enormous adversity in some cases. Being a 6'4" white R&B singer.
Have you, with your talent and your voice, I'm sure you've had a lot of offers to have co-writers or have somebody for you to give them the framework and take their project, which is their words. Is it always an absolute no for you?
It's never an absolute no for me, but I want the creative control to be able to add input creatively into the song, whether it be words or something else, structurally. That way, I'm never considered not a writer. You know what I mean? Up to this point, it's 100% me. I recorded a demo for Sony Music back in like 2000, and I had some co-writers for that. But it's because an A&R was in town. I was framing houses. I heard there was an A&R in town. I showed up in the middle of my work day with cut-off jean shorts, tank top, fucking tool belt. Like, heard y'all need some studio. Like, whatever I said. Like, I'm here. Like, and I just bust out, start singing for this Sony A&R rep. Shout out Charlucci. I'm not sure if he's living or dying, but and that got me in a session. And so I ended up cutting a demo that weekend, and I had a couple writers for that session. It didn't go anywhere, like, but it's one of the songs that I still have in a collection of songs that I'll pull out every now and then and be like, hey, check this out, like, you know, because it was a fun song to do at that time, very classic R&B, you know, and from then on, before then even, it was just like, okay, let's go back to the start. I started writing hooks for rap artists. I'd write the hook. They play the music, I write the hook. I said, what do you want to talk about? I write the hook. Or I'll hear their verse, I'll write the hook. I'll sing the hook. It'll have this melody, different melody, whatever. And that's how I'll do that. Then I built into writing complete songs. Then I learned how the format of songs. Then I had to learn how to produce myself. So I got a Roland Phantom X6 and started, formatting my own records and things like that, and learning, measures and tempos and all that stuff. So I've probably had 10 guitars in my life and never learned how to play one of them. But I still have one. I still have my black Fender, and I'm really wanting to learn it.
You got like a Telecaster, or is it?
It's just it's just an acoustic, small body acoustic. You know what I mean? All black Fender, but great guitar to learn on, and I just want to learn it. You know what I mean? Just for the ability of, you know what, if it has to be me using technology, going somewhere and busking my own songs, fuck it. I mean, I'll do it now vocally, like with a guitar player or something. Maybe we bust out a suitcase model, some Rhodes keys or some or a Wurlitzer suitcase piano or something like that. Let's bust something out on the corner. Like, crazier things have been done in New York City.
Do you ever just show up at like a karaoke bar and clown the whole crowd?
Very early on. Very early on. Very early on I did, and then I got out of that really fast because that's when I really got to see the death of R&B segment. Karaoke, the birth of karaoke was the death of R&B.
Why do you say that?
Because overnight, everyone became a singer. Period. Yeah, I was singing. I was doing originals. But if you got a karaoke night, everybody's a singer. And it's their song, you know what I'm saying? And they've been knowing the words because they sing it. Like, karaoke's fun, I guess. You know what I mean? For a wedding party. Like, I don't know. But I just saw it literally firsthand because I was getting paid to do shows as an R&B singer before karaoke. That's how long it goes back. And then karaoke, death of R&B. Period.
When did you realize that you were musically like inclined?
I grew up in a house where my single mother played a lot of records, and I had a little boombox, and I listened to it all day. But it was her records that were very much a variety of genres. Country, classical, seasonal, disco, some rock, some R&B. But growing up in vinyl form, it added something, like, I can't explain it. Like, the people that know vinyl know, but it adds something to it. Like, it adds it's a personal, like, this is your personal concert. You know what I mean? Like, from the vinyl studio. And that made it cool. And I gravitated toward music that way. Listened to a whole bunch of music growing up in all genres, as I said, from, literally, from Frank Sinatra to AC/DC to Nat King Cole, Otis Redding, Al Green, and the Bee Gees, and Kenny Rogers, and some Johnny Cash. You know what I mean? His more famous ones, but and when I grew up, even hair bands were a big thing, you know, and grew up in the breakdance revolution. So I seen all that shit pop off. That's crazy, bro. Just an explosion of music and the birth of rap music. So when I gotten into music, and all I would do was just literally sing along with the songs, you know, no matter what genre, just try and voice match or whatever. So I had a lot of alone time, you know what I mean? My head next to the speaker. So I tried to do that. And then one day in my early 20s, I was managing a retail clothing store at a local mall after getting kicked out of college and getting married. And I was just singing an old Earth, Wind, and Fire song, and somebody walked in the room and heard me sing. It was like, oh, my God, have you ever thought about singing? And for me at the time, I was like, you know what I mean? It's whatever, like, just sing it. And so they was like, well, you know who this person is? Well, I've heard the name. Well, let me take you over to this studio. You need to meet somebody. So, you know, that's how that kind of came together.
Did you do anything in school growing up?
I did plays more than musicals.
Some more acting, rather.
I was on stage in 4th grade. I auditioned for the old person part. You know what I mean? Like, straight up, it's crazy. Like, I auditioned for the old person part and got the role, and then ended up going to several dramatic acting and improvisational acting classes through junior high and high school, while running track and playing football full time as well.
I read that you got a scholarship for football. Did you have any opportunity to do more of the acting in college?
I did not, and that was, I would say, that was a product of being undereducated on what life outside the box is like. You know, at that time, Lee Summit was relatively a very small town. We had a big graduating class, but it was still a small town.
How young are you?
I'm young enough, but I'm also old enough.
Let me guess your year you graduated.
It's pretty easy to find.
Yeah.
I graduated in 93.
93?
So I was born in 74.
Nice. Yeah, you got all the fucking good years, dude.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, so what I've worked very hard at trying to do is knowing and understanding that I'm in a very physically demanding industry, being that of entertainment, whether it's film or music, and knowing that my time is even more limited than my time living. You know what I mean? Doesn't have to be, but it is. And so with that said, if I don't get to work, I'm tripping, bro. Like, I have to be busy doing something. Because if I'm not, I'm wasting these remaining years. And it could be tomorrow. It could be it's like, you know, so for me, it turns into something where I hold a lot of burden of guilt daily, thinking that I don't know how much time I have left to get done what I think I need to get done. And have I done enough? So I really have to, like, evaluate myself every day and be like, am I down here? Because if I'm down here, that's not going to get this done. And so now I have to plan the down here times. And sometimes those are good creatively for writing songs or writing movies or shows, right? You know, because I think a struggling artist is the best artist in the world, because those are the emotions that no one else can talk about, or is willing to talk about. Vulnerability 101, and so you've got to at least have a grasp of being courageous enough to say, you know what, the ride is worth the risk.
Do you ever think you'll meet a fork in the road where you'll have to choose one or the other?
There's always a fork in the road. Every day there's a fork in the road. This place or that place, this person or that person, this decision or that decision. Should I eat fries or should I eat baked potato? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you speak to, running out of time, which age is a factor, but anybody, is a short period of time. Just like a fighter, you have a very short window to be successful, and you have to not only have talent, timing, and opportunity, but for you to do so much, does that ever weigh on you that you're balancing too much?
Every day. And I have these conversations with the close friends of mine because I had the decision before the last fight I took. And I was like, I have to understand that I'm going to have to spend this much time with this, which is going to take that much time away from that to focus on this for the product of this. And for me, I went into the situation with an end product of publication. End of day. End of day, as long as I felt good, moved good, was confident, ready to go, I would have done it. Period. Regardless of outcome. Because the brand is bigger than the battle. And I knew all the eyes that were on it at the time. It's like, all right, bet. Got a new record coming out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, time to promote to this bare knuckle fight.
I mean, for real, straight up. I sang the national anthem for BKFC twice before I did anything else. I met all them guys early on, during the pandemic.
So for you, it wasn't so much putting that in your basket as it was, I want to be seen as this organic person, and this is what I built my brand off of, is that I am this guy that takes these chances and does this crazy shit.
That would have been the best way to put it, I bet.
Am I getting at that?
Yeah, because there was no agenda of I'm going to do this because it's going to make this, as much as I'm going to do this because this is how much I'll risk. Because I'm that confident in what's going on over here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Behind the scenes, I'm ready to go. If this is the car that's going to get me there, fuck it. Gas on the pedal.
Yeah. Which is awesome, dude. I mean, there's not enough people that take chances, And for you to be associated with them singing the national anthem a couple times, and then to be able to compete in the organization, it just adds a validity, to the whole thing, to the whole picture. When somebody says Jesse, no, he's not just the guy that maybe produced a track down the road that's on the intro for BKFC. He also was there. He fought there. I mean, I told someone not too long ago, I'm not a fighter, but the only reason I wanted to compete a couple times was just because I wanted to have a full spectrum, a full picture of it. And that's
I thought you had plans on fighting.
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I'm a pussy.
Well, I've sparred with you. You're not a pussy.
Yeah. I just know. It's I know what's good for me and what's not. And that's not my journey.
For real. For you to be able to draw that line in the sand, your age.
Thank you. Yeah.
Your age is
31.
At 31 is a very brave and definitive move, like in the direction that you think you are most destined to go. That's great. It's amazing. Congratulations. Straight up.
Thank you.
I'll say don't stop practicing, because I am a huge believer that combat sports and the practice and training thereof defeat mental illness and correct some physical ailments. Like, straight up.
Yeah, I mean, doing hard stuff, it builds mental fortitude like no other. And what's harder than getting beat up by other guys that's all they want to do?
Potentially getting beat up by other guys.
Yeah. Testing yourself against them, maybe.
Testing.
Better way to put it.
Overcoming adversity. Dealing with it. Stress, anxiety, fear. Right now. Are you kidding me? Like, that's it. Like, right now. Body's giving up. What to do?
I was just telling this guy over here before the show that one thing you do is stay involved in the gym, even though, you know, whether it is or isn't your path, but clearly you have acting and singing going on. Was martial arts always a part of your life?
Fighting was. And as I said, and was speaking about the era of, I was the younger, as you said you were as well. So I was always the punching bag until I punched back. And then it just became like, you know, everybody was fighting, everybody. A week later, you might have been cool. But, you know, back then, we were just fighting to be fighting. Because we were boys. That's what we did. Like, and after my football career ended and track career ended, there was something that was missing in my life. And it was that competitiveness, you know, and that kind of dealing with adversity and overcoming obstacles situation, and that stress and that anxiety and that, like embracing it enough to be like, this is what's going to make me better dealing with this problem right now. Because if I can't deal with all these other problems that are going on in my life, let me try and deal with this problem right now. And if I feel like I'm victorious at dealing with this problem, then all these others become smaller and more accomplishable. You dig what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely.
So then it became a master of that. Well, how am I going to get better at this? Like, but it's very healthy exercise to do. You know, and so is eating right and nutrition. You know, but you have to be well to yourself up here too. You got to tell yourself good things instead of bad things, because that's easy to do. You know, for me it was, and is, still is. It's a daily thing. Something wonderful is happening to me today. Something wonderful is happening to me today.
When you're 20 and somebody hears you sing, did you have any thought that you would go down this path to be a professional musician, professional singer? And how did that all unfold?
At the age of 20, I didn't know what I was going to do professionally. I had no idea what professional was. I was in college. I was playing football. I was not going to class. I didn't know what life was at all. I had jobs in high school, you know, whatever. But no idea. And so for me, it was something that came semi-natural. Obviously, I think if singers are good enough or decent enough to sound good, then they've put some work in. You know what I mean? It's not all natural ability. It is practice, because you've got to stay healthy also, you know. But it's one of those things where if I can end up telling somebody my story and it helps them figure themselves out, I'm all about it. Because I'm still making mistakes. The difference is I'm willing to share them. That's a pretty big one.
Vulnerability 101.
That's a pretty big one. And as a singer, publicly, that's a pretty big one.
What about when things started to unfold?
As a fighter, it's a pretty big one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What about when things started to unfold and you had opportunities to make it your profession? What were those years like?
So, I had the same story as many, but equally probably not like some, where I chose to take the responsibility of parenthood as a priority, or more of a priority than my personal gains, although I still worked on my personal gains as much as I could. I always had a time clock to punch in and punch out because I had to pay bills, you know what I mean? And there was a time where I filed and had full custody of my son, so I returned from LA to do that, and that's when I birthed the Kill 'Em All Kansas City series. After I came back home, I was like, all right, well, now I'm not in LA, but I got to do LA shit. I got to be an actor. It looks like I got to create my own shit. So let me make this Irish American mobster dude that works for the Kansas City Sicilian Mafia. What would his story tell? What would his story say? If it was me playing it, how would this look? And, you know, and I was able to bring him up through that and try and stay connected and bonded as a parent. And there's great gains as a parent, and there's great struggles as a parent. And I've had them all. And I won't regret choosing parenting over career. For what I did choose over career, because I would not want to be the one saying the other thing. I wonder what it would have been like to be a parent, but I chose my career. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people out there like that. It's like, nah, I'm good. Let me try and be a dad too. Like, you know, let me try and be a dad too, because mine wasn't around enough. Like, so, and sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. You know, and when I was doing the getting involved in the gym and teaching some classes from here and there, it was like, hey guys, I'm gonna be working out a Muay Thai or kickboxing class for an hour and a half, something like that. And do what I do as an independent, you know, over the years or whatever, to get ready for something. And every day is gonna be like that. And I think it was a great challenge for some of the guys in the gym, because it was just out of the ordinary, if nothing else, and very primal in regards to training methods. You know what I mean? Like, life's a trip, bro.
What was your first big break?
Taking that literally, I would have to say getting cast as one of the lead roles in my 4th grade stage play as the old person. Because that allowed me to have confidence to get in front of a gymnasium full of people and act like somebody that I wasn't.
And your peers.
Yeah, and my peers.
Which sometimes can be the hardest.
Absolutely. So I would say always that was a huge accomplishment. But I've had many, and I've had to learn over time that I haven't celebrated the small victories enough. And that's just being self-critical. It's great, but we're not done. There's more to do. Can't celebrate this. On to the next. We got something else to accomplish, something bigger, something more. But there's never nothing bigger. There's never nothing more than what you're doing right now. I mean, I'm still, accepting those facts. So celebrating those small victories is becoming something that I'm having to embrace a little bit more.
That's healthy, though. Learning to realize what you've done and to appreciate those moments. I mean, that's really important. But I mean, and I love the insight, of you being at the play and counting that as your first big break. But here you've chose parenting, which is such a courageous thing. As you said, people who didn't. And now you don't have to sit there and wonder what it would have been like if you didn't choose parenting.
Correct.
But, you set your career to the side, and yet you still go on to do some really amazing things, part of which opening for Bun B, which, I looked into a little bit, and to see that, and then you get a deal with him, it sounds like, and then also, collabing with people like Tech N9ne.
Sure.
I mean, you say small wins, but to a guy from the outside looking in, those are fucking huge wins.
Right. And no, and I appreciate you for saying that. I really do, because I'm very thankful for all the opportunities that I've gotten over the years, and all the different personalities and celebrities that I've gotten a chance to work with. Transparently, I go into it thinking, this dude's just like me, and we're going to do some shit together. And let me convince him that he's just like me. And I'm just like him. Let's do this. Thankfully, I've had the opportunity to be befriended and have some really good friendships in music and film over the years. Some of them lasted, some of them didn't. But that's just the way relationships go throughout life. You know what I mean? And I don't downplay any of that, but I certainly don't celebrate it as much as some people would. That's a fact. But as I said earlier, I hold myself with an accountability of guilt every day, and a burden of guilt every day, because I'm like, did I do enough? Did I do enough? Have I done enough? Did I do enough? Have I done enough? Am I doing enough? What do I need to do more of? Straight up. So, which can be toxic, in its ways, for sure. But not trying is not an option, So having days off, those are a struggle. Those are a struggle.
Do you find that taking care of yourself helps kind of refill your cup, though? Rather than taking the day off, you do something active, you eat healthy that day, you go to the gym, you're in town, you get it in. Does that kind of help refill you more than drain you?
I believe it does, because that's one thing I can check off my checklist of things that have to be done mandatorily. Yeah. To make sure that the potential of getting something done bigger or an achievement better is even possible. So that would be step 2. Good diet. You know what I mean? Commitment to work out and stretch, roll my back out, do a pigeon pose, do the splits, roll my shoulders out every day, 50 air squats, abs, 3 sets of 30. It's just one of those things that I've learned that I'm better if I do it, because everything else is going to become easier. And that can be rooted to a prison mindset. Get the hardest thing out of the way done first. First of the day. And, whatever it takes, make it happen. But once you do, I can promise that you will not feel worse.
Yeah. No, you're not going to feel worse when you get up and get it done early. What? You come back to town and you're doing this vertical series we were talking about a little bit earlier. Do you have current projects acting-wise that you're still working on?
I've got a vertical series in development, and for those that aren't familiar, a vertical series being shot and released as a vertical series, which is this way.
9x16.
Not this way. 16:9.
Yeah, there you go.
And basically the market is selling film and cinema and entertainment that is handheld, that is vertical, that you can see on your mobile device because you're holding it vertical everywhere you go. And so you're watching these shows on your vertical device instead of turning your phone, because that's too much trouble. That takes two hands. You want to do things with one hand. So you know what I'm saying? Like, we're turning into slugs.
Yeah, sadly, I know what you're saying. I'm guilty of it myself.
But it's for an actor, it's a really good way to get more content built up. And so I was like, all right, well, let me treat it like my other one and just write a vertical series, pitch or a pilot, based on the format that already does exist, which is released on subscription-based apps, and we're talking like I got really down to it, and you're telling, let's say for instance, it's a TV series. Well, instead of 1 hour or 30 minutes, you're watching an entire episode in 60 seconds. You've got to tell the whole story in 60 seconds. And then that leads you into the next story. So it kind of has to have a cliffhanger too. Or, And so that's real intriguing, especially for an actor and actress, because you're getting a lot of content fast. It's a lot of storytelling fast. It's definitely a new way to do things cinematically, but analytically it makes sense because the attention span of the average viewer of entertainment on your mobile device, being the number one source of entertainment, may be only 90 seconds or 60 seconds. So then they're just formatting it to, like, it's only going to cost us this much to do this because we're only doing this much of entertainment, because that's the attention span. That's the average attention span for this viewing audience, is 60 seconds. So it's a beautiful thing for an actor. For a director, it's probably, fun too. And for a production company, it's probably a nightmare because they've got to produce so many shows over and over again. And what I was doing recently was a feature film where I was acting just one day, just a day player, in a battle scene, and I end up, there's a conflict and whatever, but it's part of the story. And it'll come out as probably, a short of some sort. It may be up to 3 minutes long, but probably not longer than that.
When you write something yourself and you do your pitch, is that something where you fund the pitch or whatever, the episode, whether it's a minute, 2 minutes, or 3 minutes, and then you try to get another company to pick it up? Or when you work on something yourself, is it something that you prefer to see it through? And let's say it's going to be 10 1-minute segments. The only reason I ask is because you use the word pitch. And so
Sure.
I didn't know if you're making a lot of stuff to get out there and try to find a company with more resources to take stronghold and
I think
carry the weight.
Personally, I think the long game of filmmaking is being able to use everybody else's money and not yours. And that's financiers, that's production houses, and things of that nature, you know what I mean, on the executive producer side of it. And a lot of those people don't have the resources of having stories. And so that's how I first, like, everything that I've ever done has come out of my own pocket, you know. And if it didn't come out of my pocket, if I didn't have the money, it was donated or something very similar, you know what I mean? You know, and that's the risk I took, straight up. But I believed in it. I wanted to do it. Felt like it helped my career, and it helped a lot of people's careers, acting-wise or producing-wise or directing-wise or whatever else job they had. So it just becomes one of those things where if there's one thing I have to do, and it's make film, and then I have to make a film, and I have to finish it. I have to start it, I got to finish it. That's stressful as fuck. It's the same as writing a song, though. Then you got to record it, then you got to mix it, then you got to engineer it, then you got to master it, then you got to release it. You have a release campaign. You have a social media manager. You have a social media marketing team. You have to hire a publicist. You got to hire a manager. You got to hire a lawyer. Got to hire a booking agent. Like, come on, dog.
Yeah.
Got to hire a producer.
With technology, though, what makes it easier, to do the music yourself or to do the film yourself?
Technology makes both things easier just because it takes some steps out, you know, some analog steps out, if you will. It improves some things, makes things a little bit more streamlined than they might have been. It's not so much pencil and paper anymore, you know. Music-wise, independently, you can release your own things independently, no matter what, anytime you want to do it, you know. Everybody's always known the money comes in the marketing and the advertising, and that's where the big label houses are going to make people and albums sell more. It's just like movies. Movies are the same thing. I got our licensing and distribution deal off of Kill 'Em All, Kansas City, when I took it back to Los Angeles to the LA Film Fest, or LA Web Fest Awards, rather. There was 27 countries competing, and we walked away with 8 awards the first year, and were offered a deal overseas to distribute and license overseas. In a French-speaking countries, the Kansas City series. And so when we filmed it, people here didn't see it for 3 years. Unless it was we had film premieres for each episode. Had a lot of fun doing that. But I get a lot of flack because people couldn't see it before then. I'm like, we got restrictions, bro. We got a licensing deal. We just can't broadcast this shit, like, you know. But it did really good over there. It got a lot of love over there. It got a lot of love over here. And I did that shit out of pocket.
Wow.
You know? And there's some stories I'll tell you after of why I really think we got the deal. Like, and it's just, it goes back to classic Hollywood. Not the weird classic Hollywood, but I showed up to the VIP party night number 1 with a hot girl in a tight dress. Meet me at the bar with somebody important I need to know in 15 minutes. Promise you. 10 minutes later. And 2 days later, I was in the presidential suite, signing a contract. Real shit.
Wow.
That's a cool story. But my point being, things are a lot simpler than some people think that, you know what I mean? Or things are less twisted than some people may think. Because it's just like, listen, some things come down to the most basic, primal, psychological, environmental, visual, conversational, truths. Like, whether it's my conversation or whether or not an actress from season 2 showed up in a tight dress. Either way, it happened. Like, and that's why it happened. Like, so you could have the best movie in the world, but if you know how to sell it, you're on your back, homie. Like,
how do you structure your day when you're wearing so many hats? Do you have to be pretty intentional about, today I'm going to set aside an hour to work on Kill 'Em All, or today I know that I haven't done any music in a week. I really need to take this week to get in the booth and just lay something, into a file to make sure that I stay up on that? Or do you really determine what you're going to do based on what you're actively involved in at the moment?
A couple things. I'll give credit to a good friend of mine, Grammy Award-winning drummer, Presidential Award winner, musician, Prescott Ellison. Used to be a drummer for Brian McKnight and Sade and a whole bunch of other bands. But I met him in Los Angeles, and he was then kind of semi-retired from music and creating his own businesses and making some fitness equipment and some health educational, what would in the future be called software, but programs for children and things like that to stay healthy and eat right. And he was one of the first people that showed me the importance of scheduling everything in your life on a calendar by the hour, every day, your entire life. And so now you've got this simple visual accountability that you're forced to checklist. And I didn't apply it for years. Straight up, like, seen it, knew it, understood it, respected it. It was like, wow, I wish I could do that. But until you do it, But I'd say that is really important, is really putting something hardcore visually in front of you. Like, this is what I have to accomplish this year, this month, this week, this day, whatever, you know what I mean? With the responsibility of checking those things off. Like, because how else? We're so good at forgetting. We're so good at being lazy. We're so good at saying, maybe not today, maybe tomorrow. We're so good at that, dude. And it's so easy to do.
Yeah. I'm so guilty of New Year's resolutions and buying planners that I don't see until the year after they're expired.
Right? Yeah. Like, but, so I would say that's a huge thing. Like, and I still struggle with that because, especially, and I won't blame it on creativity, but being a creative too, he's just got so many things. Just, it's all over the place, bro. Like, there's lots of conversation clouds. Yeah. And they're all different conversations about different things. And so being able to organize those into a schedule would be ideal, But I'd say, for anyone, and regardless, I think holding yourself accountable enough to make at least a weekly schedule. Start with a weekly schedule. This is what I need to do this week, this day, whatever. Like, but So I think scheduling and keeping yourself accountable for organization that way helps a lot with accomplishing whatever you want to accomplish. Whether it be paying the bills, getting groceries, fixing the house, saving money for this, not spend money on that, eat this, don't train, and train over here doing this, and so then you've got something visually to hold yourself accountable to. And so that, to me anyway, it's been helpful to at least keep myself in check. And then other things, I would say that doing your best to develop and nurture and keep bountiful relationships is a very important asset to have. And because you just never know. Like, I was raised by a single mother. She was a hairdresser and a salesman on every level. And she would spark a conversation and talk to anybody about anything on any level or any class, and be able to relate and hold convo. And then, creatively, she was an antique dealer and a creative in a lot of aspects. So she inspired me a lot that way. Growing up in a single mother home for a long time, but being able to say that nobody's better than you. Everybody puts on their pants one leg at a time. So if you can remove that from the equation, build as many relationships in as many different areas as you can, and they'll all be helpful with different things. So she was one of those people that had a phone book, you know what I mean? Almost a Rolodex, but it was a phone book. And so, scheduling, organization, relationships, beyond that, I believe a lot is handled under organization, which has, your accountability factor. So it's like, what am I going to do today? Am I eat good or am I eat shitty? It's a cheat day. I don't know what a cheat day is. If I decide one day, all right, I've been working out this long, been eating this good for this long, now I'm going to cheat a little bit or whatever. But I won't make it like a weekly thing.
Yeah.
Just be like, all right.
Do you get a different sense of accomplishment from music as opposed to filmmaking or being in films, acting?
I think my satisfaction with music is, as I continue to speak about, is vulnerability and the transparency of being a creative and telling people this is your story and that you created it and that you wrote it and that you may or may not have experienced it can draw listeners to it, or an audience to it, because look, is it fame, is it money, or is it just relatability? Can somebody else fucking relate on this? Am I the only one that's going through this shit? And so I'm just saying that to music. You know what I mean? And so if you can connect with somebody like that, it goes back to a very, use the word primitive again, kind of culture. It's like everybody has to have a tribe. Let's say everybody, but how many successful nomads do you know? And we know some people that have been very good at building tribes, And I've always been an independent artist, an independent fighter usually, and things like that, and independent creative, and was the youngest of only two, and, spent a lot of time by myself, bro. Had a lot of people do me dirty in business and personal relationships over the years. So, I'm a less than trusting person. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm always trying to figure out people really fast because I've been in positions professionally where I had to do that. You know, we need you to read this room really fast when we walk in there. Like, and so, you know, being a natural skeptic doesn't always have its bad things, you know what I mean? Because going back to knowing yourself a little bit more so you can know somebody else and know what to expect out of people will give you a lot of empathy and a lot of, you know, allowable experience and kind of you got to go back to empathy and just being able to read a room and know who's doing what internally before you even deal with them. You know what I mean? And, you know, that's a skill not that many have, and I won't claim to have it, but I certainly attempt my best to look for the snakes first. You know what I mean? Those slitherers. I'm keep my distance, like, you know.
Do you draw more commonalities or differences between the music industry and the movie industry?
Please, elaborate.
For me, it's really difficult to, like, I commend you so much because it seems like two separate industries, whether they're both under entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like not even the ease of navigating, but do they seem similar when you're operating in both circles? You talk about the brand and how it's all for the brand, really, and that keeps it organic, like you said. But is one of the industries more difficult to navigate than the other, or is it? And you know, I'm sure they're different, but do you find that once you know one, it's easy to take some of the things you've learned, like the skepticism, and transfer it to the other? Is one shadier than the other?
I like the very last thing you said. Is one shadier than the other? And the answer would probably be never. Like they're equally just as like tragically shady. Like to the point of why the fuck am I even doing this? Yeah. Like with these just absolute, you know, retard. What, you know what I'm saying? Like just snakes. Like, you know. But the same goes for music. The same goes for film. It's literally a poker hand. If you play poker, I guess. That's the only.
I might a little bit.
Like, I mean, you know, I say that because it's like movie and music. Everybody's fucking bluffing. Who's gonna last longer? Who's gonna fucking last longer? Who's the more game dog in the fight? Like, and I ain't going nowhere, dog. I'm here till it's over. Like, music, film. That's like I said. You want to get to know who I am? Listen to my music. You want to see my many personalities? Watch my films. Period. Like.
Period.
Fuck
yeah, dude. Hey, dude, thanks so much for doing this, man. It means a lot.
No, thank you, man. It was really fun.
No, this was a blast, man. Tell everybody how they can find your stuff.
Jesse, Jesse, Pringle, Pringle. You can pretty much get me everywhere just with that, Jesse Pringle.
And then tell everybody real quick about that platform that the thing you did today will eventually be on.
I cannot talk about it.
Okay, all right.
I'd love to, and I would be glad to, but I signed a contract saying that I could not. So.
Darn. Well, we were hoping to get one off on you. Cool, man. Well, they'll see it on your social media eventually. It's exciting stuff. Totally new industry, the vertical filmmaking. So, hell yeah, man. Thanks so much, dude.
Appreciate you.
All right. Take care.